the higher population, I didn't find a significance between urban population and life expectancies. And when you look at the infant mortality rate at Stanford with IMR and CMR and child mortality rate with CMR, they got quite the same significant, the same size, which is higher particulate matter, bring the higher infant mortality rate and child mortality rate. While I surprisingly see that the higher GDP didn't affect any in child mortality rate or infant mortality rate. But the immunization rate higher, yeah, we got the lower of child mortality rate and infant mortality rate. And for the population density and urban population, we found that if they have lower and higher population density or higher or urban population, they can bring the infant mortality rate and child mortality rate down. This might be because the place that in the urban area might have more facility up in the health, or that might bring the better health facilitation that can bring the infant mortality rate or child mortality rate down. So the conclusion here is the environmental cuteness curve is quite questionable. So when they want to set the public policy, they cannot only stress on increasing the per capita GDP, because the per capita GDP, we don't know like they're gonna bring the environmental degradation down or they're gonna be the environmental degradation up. And for the another model that I do for the health determinant is say it can derive and tell the public policy that policy maker that we better coordinate everything in health policy, economics policy, and also socio-economic policy together in order to make a better health well-being that can lead to the sustainable development. And another thing that I would like to add is this is you can see the pattern of the cross-country data. Even though I try to use the primary data in order to examine the better relationship without the bias of country characteristic. But if we can do this with the data in specific area, like in Thailand, because I'm from Thailand, so let's say in Thailand we have the industrial area. We know that industrial can bring more income for the people in that area, but it's quite questionable like income bring them better health or not, because the income might bring them the more higher portion that they might have the worst health in the end. So it's a question that for everyone if we want to do the research in environmental health. Thank you.
Thank you. So any questions for this presentation? Chris?
Yes.
Why do you think the population density, the higher the density, the lower the infant mortality rate and child?
Yeah, because it might be because like in the city, they have higher population. Like you can see, like the urban population is higher, population density is higher in the city. In the city, you might have more accessible to the health facility, or that you can see maybe they have a lot of hospital in the city, or maybe it's because it's in the city, like they have more government policies, yeah, and that can be assuming, yes.
Assuming that the densely populated areas are all in the urban areas. That's what you're assuming?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming from this like cross-country data. That's why I'm saying like it's going to be better if we can get like scope to one specific area and to see if it's true for the further study.
You're going to have a problem because population density in urban population is likely to be extremely highly correlated. And I think it's going to be very difficult to determine the results by putting them both in. That's a statistical problem.
Yeah, but I already checked correlation. I mean, I checked with the statistics program for the correlation between population density and urban population. Yeah, it's pretty low.
Really?
Yeah. So it does go together. That's why I put in a cell model. Yeah. And although if it's multi-collinearity, I'm suggest like it should be make it less significant. When you put the collinearity, they have collinearity, the same things, they might bring that factor like insignificant. But in this case, it's still significant. So yeah, that can prove that it's not collinearity.
I think, well, that obviously needs further investigation.
Right.
To understand why.
Yeah, I think we need just like a kind of like a specific area study to know what is the specials in that problem. Yes.
Yeah, in continuity to this question, because the population density, if it's urban, it does not necessarily guarantees you
Right.
that health facilities should be there.
Right.
So in places like in my country, Pakistan, you cannot find, in the urban areas all their health facilities.
Right. Yeah, this is like the result that I got from the kind of cross section with many years that I do the panel for cross country. Great. Thank you for your question and suggestion. Much.
So for the third presenter is from University of Malaysia, Mr. Meshad Pavin. Sorry for maybe misspelling. So this paper will present on the issue of the effects of oil and non-oil exports on economic growth, a case study of Iran. Please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for my paper is about the effects of oil and non-oil export on economic growth. It's the case study of Iran. Actually, this topic is not a new topic. It's people have done it before. There are wide range of studies that explaining how export enhanced economic growth. There are some studies like Bakhshudeh and Mohammadian that explaining that export enhanced economic growth. Especially in these studies, they show that this in recent years the importance of non-oil export gaining attention among the OPEC member countries. Theoretically speaking, export can increase capital goods, which raise the economic growth, which equals to more capital formation. There are some advantages that export increases foreign exchange earning and create more employment opportunities to domestic markets. Encouraging technical knowledge is another advantage that suggests it will encourage the economic growth. Like Grossman and Helpman in 1991, they mentioned enhancing efficiency of production factors by increasing the level of international competition is another advantage of exporting in the country. But some countries that they export, they have national resources. like a curse. So there are some advantages and disadvantages. Because my title is about the oil, so I'm going to highlight some advantages and disadvantages of exporting oil. We will consider oil as one of the most profitable natural resources that in a oil producing country like Iran. Oil exporting countries can influence the world market price. For example, OPEC member countries can influence the oil price in the whole world. These are some, besides the advantages of exporting oil, there are some disadvantages. For example, that oil is not renewable or recyclable because the main element of oil comes from fossil. That over years, amount of fossil has been eroded, and they will actually it's more costly to explore oil. That will cost. By the time passes, the cost of each barrier to explore will increase. Another disadvantages of exporting oil is unsustainability of oil price that will reduce the oil production and can cause the instability of revenue and economic growth. Another disadvantages of oil is the negative effect of economic dependency on one product that will influence the other exporting goods as less active. There are some advantages of besides oil, there are some advantages of non-oil export. Non-oil export can increase government dependencies on one single oil product. In addition, it's also necessary to identify which policy instruments have been crucial to promote higher export ratio. Non-oil export development make higher investment and will help domestic industries. For these reasons, it is crucial to compare the effect of natural resources exports like oil and non-oil export on the economic performance. Why I choose Iran? It was because that after Saudi Arabia, Iran is the second OPEC largest oil producer, which has 11% of the world proven oil reserve and 15% of the world proven gas. That approximately 9% of world oil reserve, which around 94 billion barrels. That is huge amount of revenue besides. Another reason that I choose Iran is according to the varieties of climate and geographic situation that Iran got. In Iran, agricultural products are more active among the other OPEC member countries. My problem statement is that among these studies, there is no causal, the causal relationship between export and economic growth still remains uncertain. Instability of oil price, resources, and oil production can cause instability in economic growth, that which will influence negative effect on economic dependency on single product for economic growth. In a oil-producing country, the most important factor to highlight is how these countries spend their oil revenues to enhance their export. The question of how to increase non-oil export against oil is also argumentative. we want to know that which model is most suitable and can explain the stability of economic growth in Iran. To reach this, the objective of this study is to show a clear causal relationship that has a significant impact to policy making. Examining the long-run relationship between oil and non-oil export and real GDP is another objective of this study. To determine whether the export and real GDP variable Granger calls other variables, and to examine how real GDP and other independent variables respond to oil and non-oil export. Another objective of this study also is to examine the role of non-oil sector on Iranian growth. To ascertain the long-run sustainability of non-oil export also is one of other objectives, and to determine the export policies options for Iranian future economy. I did a few literature review that I'm going to escape some of them because we are running out of time, but in the export-related variables, Cobb-Douglas model, for instance, recommend that export help economic growth as a result of gain in productivity. Edward and Levine noted that export industries are more at risk to productivity improvement, and this leads more investment, higher profits, and more rapid economic growth. For example, Marshall in 1985 also they support that export Granger cause economic growth. Other people that, for example, XU, Emerli, and Rahmani Oskui and Mehrara, that they investigate of some sources of macroeconomy that influence in oil exporting countries during 1970 to 2002, that they use a structural approach. The model that I am going to use in this paper is actually a model that is expanded by Bakhshuda's model, but we divide it into two parts, as we want to use the effect of oil and effect of non-oil. That's why I divided it into two models. That is show you, as you can see here, this one shows the intercept and these numbers will show the slope of coefficient to the model. And because I want to see the relationship of oil export to GDP, that I use multi-variable regression, that I explain here the variables that GDP stands for gross domestic product, FDI foreign investment. Actually this one, FDI, it's the difference between FDI inflows and FDI outflows. But instead I write outflow. And exchange rate, and oil price, and oil export. We did the same model as here, but we substitute the oil export with the non-oil export. The amount of the value that the country will get from exporting non-oil products. The data that the resource data that I get for GDP It's from International Monetary Policy, IMF, as well as for crude oil export, I get it from OPEC website. That's the database. For foreign direct investment, I get it from UNICAD, the United Nations Conference of Trade and Development. And for non-oil export, the amount of non-oil export, I get the data from Central Bank of Iran. The technique that has been used in this study is factor of autoregressive band, and as we know all that Johansson configuration, you have to use a unit root test before continuing to configuration. And then, based on VAR model, I used the BPCM model to show the long run and causality effect of these two models. The table that you are going to see, it's the result from unit root test, and then we can see here that in level there is no, the unit root test is not significant, but becomes significant in all the variables become significant by first difference. This is the co-integration result, and as you can see, we have one co-integration in oil export model, and also one co-integration in non-oil. This is the result for co-integration of the oil export model, and it shows one of them is based on trace and one of them is based on maximum eigenvalue. And as you see, there is one configuration on both of the results. To escape some of this, and this is for non-oil export, the result of non-oil export. Also, as you can see, the variables are strongly correlated to each other, and I want to show you that here in our model, I standardize, and the things that I want to highlight is that in the oil export model, the coefficient is more than 1. That it shows that oil export is more relatively elastic to non-oil, that is less than 1, as it's relatively inelastic.
Please summarize.
Yes, sure. I'm going to just show you, as we see now in the research result, that all the variables are co-integrated and strongly they have a relationship, but because of the fluctuation of the oil, we do not have expecting sustainable economic growth rather than paying attention to the other factors of the economic producing and manufacturing. So the policy that I'm going to highlight is to paying attention to that export of oil and non-oil export is also very important, that they government can, they should give more attention for sustainable and higher GDP effect. This is my paper, and I hope not to become so long.
Thank you very much. So any questions for this presenter? Okay, we have just only one last paper for this room. This paper came from University of Malaya on the issue of a dynamic examination of the catalyst of growth, the case of Malaysia, from Mr. Shaw Phoon Hong.
I'm Shaw Phoon Tang, so just call me Tang. And then this is a co-paper with my supervisors, Professor Yu Chai Tan from University of Malaya. It's basically this dynamic examination of selected catalysts of growth. It's making it more simple actually. It's trying to measure what is the engine of growth for economic growth for the case of Malaysia. Now previously what we always see about actually Malaysian economic is more driven by export and also FDI. Okay, so Malaysian 1970s, Malaysia's already go through the export orientations in plans. This is one of the 1980s is the industrial plan. So after that, in the 1980s, now then we go to the encourage a lot of foreign direct investment. So then we also try to get a better, improve our countries. So after that, what is the problems that we see in the FDI and also export is this is all depend on the overseas, which is outside external source. FDI is now actually there is no charities for a country for them to invest in the country essentially. They depend on the resources that we have, and also come to the states like now toward to China's and also Vietnam towards Cambodia's. They are going to the state, the country that with a low wages. This is one of the reasons of that. So this is after that we're trying to promote this domestic investment. So this is the catalyst of growth. Sorry, I used to stand to present. Okay. So the objective of this paper is there are only three. Okay, is to analyze the role of domestic investment, which is the investment by local peoples, and foreign direct investment, economic growth on Malaysia economics, okay, economic growth in Malaysia, and then analyze the persistency of the catalyst of growth, which is the engine of growth, in stimulating economic growth in Malaysia, how persistent it is, how consistent it is, and also analyze the stability of Granger's causal effect of DI stands for domestic investment, FDI and export on economic. This is the three main objectives I'm going to do on that. Okay. So this is a summary of literature survey. So there are many papers actually done on export actually. Many papers. This is a very, if I put all things, I don't think it's a 15 minutes all of my papers, but we become very thick on that. So even FDI also the same thing. This is only a summary for papers, important papers on export, FDI, and also some very little study on domestic investment. The most recent is Tan and Lien. And they use an annual data of 1970s to 2008. This is an all-time series analysis. And then what is the problems by the previous literatures that is major is to, they use gross fixed capital formation, which is a total investment as a proxy for domestic investment, which is not true. Okay, because the total investment include public investment and also private investment, included some foreign direct investment. If we want to see the effect of domestic investment, we have to extract it out or netting out. Okay, so another thing is no one actually done on the persistency, how stable it is for this catalyst of growth, for this engine of growth to the economic growth. Okay. So after that, just now I'm saying that this is a combination of total investment. There is a public investment, and there is also a private investment and foreign investment, which is downstairs. There is a foreign investment is there. So this is extracted from Ang 2009. Okay. So the empirical models, this is the empirical models is getting from the previous literatures. This is why it stands for the log of GDPs. DI is domestic investment, FDI, export. These are three main catalysts of growth I'm going to analyze it. Why I'm choosing this is because of export and FDI is a very long time ago, it's a determinant. But how about, is it domestic investment? Is it possible to replace it as a cushion for it? Previously, actually according to a World Bank report in 1993, it is a miracle of economic report. There is Malaysia is one of the countries, it's a miracles country, they made high growth country in the 1980s. Okay, because of this export, high savings, okay, we have. So high savings is possible to finance the domestic investment. Is it utilized properly or not? So that's why it's one of the things is domestic investment is come across. So this is data. I'm using the quarterly data since 1991 to 2010. I'm trying to see what is the present view of that. The present view. And then the data, very simple, get it in International Financial Statistics, monthly statistic of the Malaysian bulletin. Actually, I'm missing the word of Malaysia here. The CIAC database. Okay, the study is using real GDPs, real export of goods and services, real FDI, and also real domestic investment. Domestic investment in this study is measured by the netting out FDI from the total. I mean, I'm using the total gross domestic product, gross capital formation minus the FDI, that is the total, included private and also public, but that all is for Malaysia, for our own countries. So this is the method, it's a summary, so make it faster, okay? So this is a method, I'm using Uniroad, ARDL co-integration proposed by proposed by Perseverance, Granger causality proposed by Toda Yamamoto, Stolado Lupo, 1996. And then recursive recreations of parameter persistence. These started to measure what is the how persistent it is. And then recursive based Granger causality test proposed by Tang. This is to measure how consistent it is the decision, whether every time is it consistently say causes or not. Then come to the dynamic stage, I'm using the variant decomposition analysis. This is all the methods I'm going to use in these studies. Okay, ARDL actually. This is the method. What is the different ours, ARDL and the previous is, we try to modify the previous one, ARDL does not include the structural break. And also even the serum itself, it includes the structural break exogenously. Because sometimes we don't know when is the break really appear. So this we design using the programming, we run it, and then we identify what is the possible breaks. We use the concept, original concept from the Grigori and Hansen's 1996 Journal of Econometrics. So the D terms here, the D terms stand for here. This is the D term, this is the, we make a very simple model which we only assume that that is a level shift because we know that there is a 1998, there is a structural break, and also in 2007, there is also structural break. So there is quite numbers of structural break, but which one is more important actually for that? So then after this result come to the stage, okay? So result here, we can see that all ADF, DF, GLS, KPSS all come to a stage, almost all the variables are stationary at first different. The exceptional is the FDI. FDI here we found that there is not stationary at the level, not first different. That means from here we found that the order of integration for the variable are inconsistent. So when it comes to the stage of inconsistent, our conventional, the so-called Johansson's, angle ranges is not come to cross. We couldn't use that. Therefore, we have to use another test for that. That's why this is one of the strong reasons we use the bound testing procedure, which can be which allow us to use incorporate all the I1 and I0 variables. So that's why after that, as I said before, we could incorporate the structural break. This is the endogenous search. This is the graph to show that what is the breakpoint, possible breakpoint from the endogenous. We found that the co-integration, the variable are co-integrated, then but there is a structural break in 1998 in Q1. This is very closely related to the Asian financial crisis actually. Okay, so which is very okay. After that, we perform the diagnosis test. This is the whole models of that. We perform, then we found that all are square very high, and then our Jacob-Beran normalities is all the diagnosis test is no problem. So this model could be said is relevant and okay, acceptable. And also we found that these four variables come across as co-integrated. They are moving together in the long run. Okay. Okay. After that, we also measure the stability of the model. Overall, they are stable. All the parameters are fluctuating stable, but remember here is stable is after 1999 because we already put in the what is that, a dummy variable there. They won't capture the previous one. We only started from after the dummy variables. the QSIM test. So after that, we measure this is a long-run relationship. When we found the co-integrated, we form up a long-run relationship, and then we found that DI, domestic investment, contribute to economic growth about 0.162, export 0.17, and FDI only 0.04. Okay, really from here, the long run, we found that export play a very important role compared to domestic investment. Okay, and in the short run, we also found that export also important, 0.28 compared to the rest of the two. But DI, the domestic investment, is still greater than foreign direct investment. This is the Granger causality, okay, because here actually a summary from here is we found that all the catalyst of growth is bilateral, so bidirectional Granger cause with economic growth, with the exception of foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment, we found that only foreign direct investment itself, Granger cause or predicting what is the futures of the economy. But the futures of economy doesn't explain much on foreign direct investment. This meaning that the country that we have actually, the market size, there is a market-led hypothesis, which is that Malaysia is no longer an attractive market, based on the data, it's not I say it, okay, based on the data, it's no longer an attractive locations to extract more FDI. That's why we have to change what is the possible strategies to further promote it. Then we also implement the recursive regression to see how persistent of the each catalyst of growth, domestic investment. But we found that before 1998, these kind of things, there is still there is a fluctuation. But domestic investment after 1998, 1999, then all is quite stable compared to foreign direct investment and also export. Okay, from here. And then this is a recursive. From here, we found that FDI is consistently Granger causes economic growth, and also and also domestic investment are consistently Granger cause economic growth. But very unfortunately, export are not so, because of there is some breakage here. Maybe it's because of the 911 issues. It's affected the export of the national export is reduced on that. They are disconnected. Okay, finally disconnected back. Okay. So after that, we go to the dynamic places. Dynamic is varying decompositions, and we found that in the short run, there's this one quarter, first quarter, almost 100% actually is explained by itself, the GDP itself. But come to the 12th quarter, which is 3 years, 3.8% of domestic investment,